Congratulations, congratulations. Winning's fun, right? Yeah! Winning is fun. Winning is fun. My hat's off to everybody in this room. We've battled, and you were battle tested, okay? You were battle tested. You guys continue to stick together. Great things are going to happen to this football team moving forward. Okay, you just got to continue to believe. Continue to believe in one another. All right, great job. We got to finish with one now. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Welcome into Jags A.M. Winning is really fun, so that's why we're going to celebrate Victory Monday all week long here on Jags A.M. because the Jags finally break their 4-game losing streak. They get a win over the Panthers, and they do it in the best way possible by playing clean football and not making mistakes. Our first big thing today is going to be, it was always the Titans. So we had this game circled on the calendar. It came down to the Titans game, the final game of the regular season last year. It's going to be the same situation this year. And Josh Allen told us why it's always a little bit special when it's against the rival.
Again, that goes down to the rivalry game. You say they're not playing for anything. I mean, they're playing for a lot. They're playing for pride. They're playing for themselves. They're playing for check. They're playing for everything. So for us, right, you know how rivalry games go. You can be the best team, you can be the worst team, but rivalry games, the energy is going to be high, and so we have to come prepared to play. No lackadaisical movement, no going through the motions. We have to start Monday, know when we're going to play first and foremost, and get ready to prepare every single day. If we can do that, I can see the same outcome as this.
Brian, the Titans aren't playing for anything on paper, but sometimes playing for pride is the most important thing. So I can't imagine this is going to be an easy matchup.
No, it won't. And we just need to go back and look at last January when they rolled down here and they had Josh Dobbs. They didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill all on the field, right? I mean, it was pretty much Derrick Henry and Josh Dobbs, and they darn near beat the Jaguars and knocked him off. This isn't as good a team, but Mike Vrabel's a really good coach, and he'll have them ready to go, locked and loaded to play. And John, look, this is probably Derrick Henry's final game as a Tennessee Titan, which means that the video board is going to be loaded with highlights of what he's done to torture the Jaguars through the years. Probably that long 99-yard touchdown run will be over and over and over. And there's some marks he can hit, like set a franchise record with 41 career 100-yard days against the Jaguars. He could get that done. So my guess is you're going to get the best they've got, and Henry's still pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like all 41 have come against the Jaguars. Look, it's not the same team that came in here last year. They're not as good. They're more similar to the Carolina team last week in the sense that they are struggling right now toward the end of the season. Talking to people up there, they think the motivation for the Titans is not as much beating the Jaguars as it is just winning a game. There's not a whole lot of rivalry feel for the people I've talked to. That being said, you need to do the same thing you did against Carolina, which is get up early, get a touchdown lead, and make them not believe. I think if you do that, I think you can get this game without a whole lot of drama. That's easier said than done on the road against a Mike Vrabel coach team.
Yeah, let me highlight that real quick because you talk about getting a lead, John. If the Jaguars get a lead, then they won't be able to give the ball to Henry. And the numbers on that are very stark. When he carries the ball 17 times or fewer this year, Kai, he only averages 37 yards per game. But when it's 18 or more, it's 114. So their best hope of beating the Jaguars is Derrick Henry getting something done on the ground. If you build that early lead that John talked about, you take that away.
Also, Kai, the Jaguars haven't won this year trailing at halftime. So get a lead.
A lead always helps, and it helps out the defense as well. That's our second big thing, which is defense helping out the offense. The offense was very good last week and not turning the ball over and playing smart football. Could have done a little bit better in the red zone, but we're working on that. The defense, though, also played well and helped out the offense.
When the defense is playing like that, it takes so much pressure off the offense and off the quarterback to feel like you have to press and do this and do that. So, obviously we'd like to be better in the red zone, but when your defense is playing like that, it's not the worst thing, just kicking field goals and taking care of the football. We kind of knew all week we wanted to protect the ball and move the ball and put up points, and that's what we did. The defense played great. So hats off to those guys, and hats off to Josh for getting this 3 sacks today and getting that record. That's a big deal, and that's awesome.
John, when you lost so many games in a row, you're trying to get your momentum back. I think even if it's field goals, getting points on the board and then playing solid defense, that's the complementary football that they haven't been doing the past month, and that was what was able to get them an early lead and then a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I thought it was key. Brandon McManus had struggled coming into the game. They were longer field goals that he missed in that 4-game stretch. I think he missed 4 out of 5, and I think 3 of them were from 50 or plus and win. So it's not like he's a horrible kicker. They just hadn't been going through. They were getting closer the other day. But yeah, getting that scoreboard advantage. Doug Peterson does a nice job within close games of playing to the score, of getting up by a touchdown, of getting up by a couple of touchdowns, and then being able to sort of dictate play after that. He's a really good scoreboard game coach. When field goals aren't going through, Brian, it's tougher to play that strategy type game because all of a sudden the things you've done to get there haven't gotten any advantage and you're back to square one. So in my 10 things the Jaguars need to do to win on Sunday, making makeable kicks is one of them.
Press Taylor talked about last week before the game against the Panthers about how they had a game plan ready to go and then the circumstances of the game got away from them. And that's what you're talking about there. Field goals and how you tend to play get away from you. Just one more point on the Jaguars building a lead, and that is it unleashed the pass rush last week. You saw 6 sacks, which totally took away any sort of rhythm from the young quarterback for Carolina. And you happen to be going against a Titans offensive line that allowed 6 sacks last week. So making the kicks, getting the first downs, putting points on the board allows you to really play to the strength of your defensive line, and last week it was outstanding. So all those little things add up, and the field goal part of it certainly is part of it.
Our final big thing is staying dialed in. Because of that losing streak for the Jaguars, it's been pretty much must-win since last week. It'll be must-win this week, and then, of course, the playoffs if they get there. So staying dialed in is going to be key going forward.
Coming down to Week 18, that's just – I think our guys really thrive on these situations, and that's okay. It's a great opportunity for our organization, for our franchise, for our players, for our owner, to be in this situation, and we got to go play another good football team on the road, and we'll enjoy this one obviously, and prepare this week whenever we play.
Brian, I'm sure many of us would have appreciated if they locked up a playoff spot a little bit earlier in the year, but they really do play their best football when their back's against a wall.
Well, I hope so, because they haven't played their best football this year in big games, Kai. I circled 5 dates when the schedule came out in the spring: Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and the Ravens. And they only won one of those games, right? And we heard after the Chiefs' loss that it was the worst week of practice that they had all season long. Well, flip it now. We heard that last week was the best week of practice. So hopefully they're in that mindset. It doesn't get any bigger than this. Win and you're in. Lose and you probably go home because of the way that the scenarios play out. And I know we're going to talk about that later. But if this team has been lacking anything this year, it's been that situational awareness of a big game and when you've got to play your best and you can't have any excuses, injuries or otherwise.
Yeah, I think it remains to be seen if they play their best with their backs against the wall this year, because to me, Sunday's the biggest example of that. Beating Carolina was very impressive at home. Now you got to go on the road in a place where until last year you hadn't played very well, the whole thing. Look, if you're not ready, if you're not dialed in for this one, go do something else.
Just go do something else. John said it. Stay with us here on Jags A.M. Do not go do something else. We're going to talk about the playoff scenarios coming up here on Jags A.M. presented by Jet HomeLoans.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Hi, Jags fans. Andre Sisco here, safety of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This season, I've partnered up with Luray Peanut Company to serve a greater mission for the Jacksonville community with the Peanut Pick-Off. Here's the deal. Every time the Jags make a pick, Luray is going to donate to youth football initiatives in and around the Jacksonville area. On top of that, the Jaguars Foundation will match every dollar. With each interception, our team inches closer to that W, and our kids get to train for a brighter future. Remember, it was always the Jags. Duval!
The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguars regular season at Firehouse Subs. Get 2 medium subs for just $10 after any game when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more. It's a bold deal for the bold city. Sign up at firehouseSubs.com/fieldgoalsforfirehouse for offer details and to automatically receive this offer when you use your Firehouse Subs rewards account. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available on the Firehouse Subs app and online ordering.
Jags A.M. is brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. You can step up to luxury at fieldsauto.com. We also want to take a moment to thank JEA's frontline teams for their critical services they provide to this community. Today, we'd like to recognize JEA employees who volunteered over 500 hours at the Salvation Army Toy Show. Thank you for helping make the holiday season a little bit brighter for our community.
It was 7-1 when Cam's on the field, and I feel like he just bring that veteran presence. He just been here. He been through everything with the Jaguars, and he understands what it was like when they weren't winning no games, and now he knows what it is to feel like success. And he just has that aura about him, and I feel like it just kind of feeds off into the other guys, and that just he just means so much to the offensive line, to the team, to all of us. And I feel like when he's out, it's just kind of, you definitely notice.
It's good to have him back. He's just a difference maker for us. He's an energy. His energy is contagious in that room, and we ran the ball really well today. So having him back was a plus for us, and I know he's probably just starting to get back in his groove too. So he came out healthy today, and we're going to keep moving forward with him for sure.
He just pulled my helmet off, so I pulled his off. Yeah.
Got the last laugh.
I normally do.
Cam being Cam, he always gets the last laugh. I know he doesn't love that narrative of that the team being 7-1 when he plays, but everybody else does, and they all love him when he's out there, and they play a little bit different too. And nice to see a little bit of Cam's energy at the end of the game too, when things were in hand as well.
Yeah, it's not that they win 7-1 because Cam Robinson's. I mean, but they are a different team. They run better, and frankly, he's the alpha on the offense.
You know, we had this conversation with Nate Hackett back in 2017, where he identified Cam Robinson, who was a rookie, as being one of the 2 or 3 guys on the offense that they could count on to bring it. Top competitor at all times.
And that was a good running team that year.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
he does matter in the run game.
Yeah, and when you talk about those guys, and it's hard unless you're in that locker room and you get to know them a little bit personally. You know the guys to whom football matters, right? And to some guys, it's good, it's important, but it's not like everything. And not every guy in every locker room is ever going to be that way. But Cam is one of the guys in that locker room. Man, it really freaking matters to him. And I've changed my tune. I kind of thought he was going to be one of those guys that was going to be a cap casualty next year as they went to sign a bunch of those other young players. Those young players haven't come through this year, and Cam certainly has. I don't think there's any way that you can let Cam Robinson go.
Yeah, do you want to go into big games without him?
Hell no.
So that's, yeah.
I don't want to see that locker room without him either, because when we talk about hating to lose more than you like to win, Cam is one of those people to me.
And I loved the standoff on the field. I loved it. That was their best player, Derek Brown, and the Jaguars' best offensive lineman, and one of their best players, and he just wouldn't let go. And the way he tossed the helmet casually, I loved it. I mean, it's not the best in sportsmanship, and at least he didn't hit somebody, because then maybe they would have given him more than they're going to give him. But I loved it because it set the tone, Kai, that I think has been lacking from this team. That was a big game in the sense that they had to win it, and I thought that was the best sign that I've seen from this team in more than a month.
I know head coach Doug Peterson liked it, because in the media session the other day, someone asked him about it, and he was just ear to ear grin talking about it. Let's talk a little bit about playoffs. So obviously the easiest route for this team is going to be win and in. They can lose, and then there's a little backdoor situation of they can back into the playoffs with some other things going their way, but then you're a lower seed. Obviously nobody wants that. And then the way this team's been playing, if they lose and then get in, I don't know what the success rate is really going to be there because you're also probably going to be taking on Baltimore or Miami.
Well, so you know right out of the gate, you will know, I should say, on Saturday night, because in order for the Jaguars to lose on Sunday and still make the playoffs, they need the Ravens to beat the Steelers on Saturday. And they've already said in Baltimore that Lamar Jackson's not going to play, which means there will be a number of guys who are probably beat up and banged up on both sides of the ball that won't play either. And the Steelers are going to come hard charging. It's a rivalry game anyway. I don't see the Ravens beating the Steelers on Saturday night, which will just further, hopefully, John, get the team focused on what they better do on Sunday.
Yeah, look, this is win or in, and realistically, it takes a miracle to get in if you don't. So if they don't win, they don't deserve to be in. So
it's a true statement.
There's also a scenario in there if the Steelers lose, which could happen. They're inconsistent. It's not a guarantee that a resting Baltimore team couldn't win that game. Then you need Denver to either lose or tie. And to clear that up, that's because Denver can't make the playoffs, but they can get into a potential tie with Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. And once you get into a three-way tie, then all of a sudden the head-to-head that the Jaguars have over Pittsburgh is thrown out, and it comes down to that three-way deal. So it's complex. Trust me that that's what it is, even if I didn't explain it right. But the long and short is they're depending on Pittsburgh to lose. I mean, and that realistically is not something you can depend on going into this game. So,
that isn't the only
it's a playoff game.
Yeah, and that isn't the only one. You also need the Raiders to beat the Broncos. And you'd say, well, the Raiders that Antonio Pierce has had on the field at various times will clearly beat the
They've
Broncos.
also been up and down, too.
Yeah, up and
Both
down.
teams.
So you need two things to happen, right? If it was just one, your percentage is higher. But two, your percentage drops. Look, they're a better team than the Titans. They should beat the Titans. Go do it and eliminate all of the consternation about it. And the good news is that at least on Saturday night, they'll know one way or the other if there's an opportunity for them.
And the same matchup that enabled the Jaguars to completely control the Titans here is still there for the taking.
They were up 27-0.
It's offensive line of the Titans, which is not the offensive line that it's been before last year, against what I still feel is the Jaguars' strength, which is their defensive front. They ought to be able to get sacks. They ought to be able to make those things, make mistakes. To me, again, the key goes back to don't have weirdness early that gives them a lead that surprises them and energizes them. And if you don't do that, if you play the way you did out here on Sunday, which is 3-0, maybe 3-3, 10, get up. If you get up on this team, I think they would be ready to leave.
Hey, remember that they were up 27-0 on them at the end of the third quarter. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that they made it a closer game. And so the reality of it is that they did the same thing to the Panthers that they did for 3 quarters against the Titans. They should be able to match up and win and eliminate any of the worry about the playoffs.
The only reason the Titans kind of looked like they were worth anything was Levis kind of threw a couple big deep balls, and he left the last game with an injury, so we don't know if we'll see Tannehill, we'll see Levis. So
it'd be surprising if Levis plays, considering out of the two, he's the future guy. I don't know that they would. Again, I have no insight on this. I don't know if you put him out there in an injury risk situation and risk him having to rehab in the offseason. I doubt they do that.
Well, the one thing, though, that leans in the direction of Levis is that the head coach, Mike Vrabel, said last week before he got injured that every rep the rest of the way was so valuable to him, and then said yesterday in his news conference that he anticipated that he was feeling better and had a chance to practice this week. So I get the sense, listening to Mike Vrabel's news conference, he very much wants him to play. We should point out, this is probably, no, it is not probably, it is Ryan Tannehill's final game. He jumped up there in 2019 and led them to the playoffs and gave them, with Derrick Henry behind him, gave them, a great run, a couple of division titles. So, the intangible that you do fight against is his final game, Derrick Henry's final game, and Vrabel going at it with a reporter yesterday in his news conference talking about how much, right, he used a specific adjective that I will not, how much it sucked to lose.
That man hates losing.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's a really good coach, and I hope he goes to New England and Bill Belichick
I wish he would
retires.
coach somewhere else. That would be great.
Exactly.
All right, stay with us here on Jags A.M. We're going to come back to a little this or that as we look ahead to It's going to go down in the last week of the regular season.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Have you noticed? It's raining a lot in our area lately. That means you can give your sprinklers a break and save some money in the process. Lawns only need water up to twice a week, and that can come from rain. So before you run your sprinklers, remember to watch the weather and wait to water. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguar sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. For 10 years, Dreamfinders Homes has been proud to call themselves the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can visit dreamfindershomes.com for all of the available inventory, and go Jags. Price.com is the easiest way to save money with comparison shopping, cashback coupons, all in one. It is free. You can check out price.com today.
He played smart. He played tough. Came back in after being checked. He ran the offense, and credit the offensive line, especially in the second half of really kind of taking over and helping out in the run game. And and the thing too sometimes is when your starter's out, your backup's in, I think the focus, the attention is a little bit, the guys are a little more zeroed in, and we saw that today really from not only the offense but I think the defense as well.
This or that. This or that.
Welcome into This or That here on Jags A.M. C.J. Beathard playing in place of Trevor Lawrence, who missed his first career start. Beathard managed the game well. It didn't turn the ball over, played smart football, getting points in the red zone by field goals most of the time. And Travis Etienne had a good day as well, so that certainly helped. And then the defense went off, and that is always helpful. So as we look at This or That this week, this is, win or go home situation pretty much in Tennessee. So where do you go with players that are kind of on the borderline here? Is this a rest them, but can you do that if it's a must-win game, or is it all in?
I don't rest anybody that can play and you feel like you help them because, yes, they should win, and I firmly believe that contending teams in this situation usually beat non-contending teams because of the urgency factor. But that's no guarantee in this league. We saw it a couple years back when the Jaguars beat the Colts. To knock the Colts out, so it can happen. I think if they're 100% or not 100%, but if they're in a percent where they can help you, you play them, and I don't think it's any question. But I do think there's a question of the quarterback position because that shoulder situation to me is a percentage game, if that makes sense. We don't know where it's going to be. I doubt it's going to be 100, and then they have to determine is 85, is 88 enough to have him on the field, or do they play well with CJ? I'm not downplaying the decision they have to make.
No, it's a big decision. Look, I think one of the reasons why they held Zay Jones out last week is because they thought they could win without him and try to get him healthier, get his percentage higher so that he could go this week. And we learned earlier today that Christian Kirk's 21-day practice window would be open today, and that's a strong sign that he will be able to go this week. They've done it a few times this year, Kai, and the only player who didn't make it to Sunday was Christian Braswell, the rookie cornerback. So the sense is that you'll have Zay and Christian. Now, the decision on the quarterback is a big decision because it's long-term with that. And we talked about Anthony Richardson last week and what that has done to his season and his rehabilitation process. But I would think you're going against a Titans team that scored 19 points the last 2 games combined. I would think you'd be able to go up there with C.J. Beathard and do the same thing you did last week, still win with him as your quarterback. They just don't score a lot of points in Tennessee this year.
We talked a little bit about this last week, but if Trevor is able to go, but he doesn't practice again, is that something we want to see?
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I would think Doug gained confidence that they could do what Brian's talking about with C.J. Beathard last week. Mm-hmm. So you have a formula that you're comfortable with, the players are comfortable with, of, okay, well, if Trevor gets out there on Wednesday, fine. If he's not out there by Thursday, then I think you have to look back and say, well, look, we are comfortable with this. We settled things down. It felt like the mind was right. Whatever all it is, all the chaos of the last 4 weeks sort of calmed. So no, if he doesn't practice, they certainly will not feel the need to throw him out there unprepared. So I think the next, I don't know if today is as important as tomorrow, because I think if he would get a full day tomorrow, then he would play. But I think the next 2 days obviously tell a lot in this story.
The last 2 times he's played without practicing, he's thrown 6 interceptions, right? I mean, he has not played well, so we have a body of work there. Now, I do think that if Christian Kirk and Zay Jones are out there, well, maybe you feel a little more comfortable because you didn't have either, in either of those games. Against the Buccaneers, you didn't have both of them in either of those games against the Browns and the Buccaneers. So, I mean, maybe that changes the trigonometry of this whole thing. I just think Jeffrey Simmons is on injured reserve. He is their best defensive player and an absolute game wrecker. And if you go back and watch the tape, he played outstanding against the Jaguars, even though the Jaguars ran up a big bill on those guys. So he's not there, and you've got C.J. Beathard and an offense that will function even greater if you've got Christian and Zay on the field with Evan and Calvin. Man, I feel even better about C.J. Beathard this week with all the practice reps and going with it, and I wouldn't risk Trevor if you're not completely confident that he can play well on the practice field.
Yeah, the factor obviously is in those 4 games they were playing hot teams that were playing well. They're not playing hot teams they're playing well right now, so that is in the trigonometry Brian talks about. And CJ did a great job last week. Really only 1 play downfield. If you feel like you need strike plays, if you feel like you need to go after it a little bit, I'm not saying CJ can't do that, but that's where let's not get so hyped up about the CJ Beathard train that we forget that there are things in terms of attacking that Trevor does very well. If he's healthy, you want him there. I just don't know how the shoulder is.
Right, and I don't know that there's an actual C.J. Beathard train, but I get where you're going with that.
Oh, there's a train.
There's
always a train.
He is capable of playing well, and he showed that last week, but he's not a frontline starter. I think he's 3-10 in 13 career starts. You have to know what you've got there. And last week, Doug Peterson and Press Taylor put a game plan together, and he executed that game plan. So it's a matter of Doug and Press having another game plan against these guys. And John talked about taking shots, where you're going to have to be able to run the ball and use Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, provided he's on the field, to set up the deep shots and then give him those shots. It's going to be well managed this week, and having those other players on the field allows them the breathing room to not have to force it with Trevor if he can't practice.
We talked a little bit about this for our other this or that already, but Christian Kirk's window is available. Zay Jones has been practicing, but he has not been back on the field in a game because, as we've seen throughout the season, he's practiced, gone back, come back onto the injury list. It's been an ongoing situation with him, and from the inclinations we get, it's going to be an injury he deals with until he's in the off season. So which one do we think will come back first? Brian, sounds like you think both of them are coming back this week. John, what do you think?
I think both of them are coming back. Certainly the way Doug talked on Monday, he was couching it a little bit, but it certainly sounded like he thought both of them were going to play. And there is, that to me plays a little bit into the Trevor decision.
Yep.
You would like, the big picture here is still that this is a team that was 8-3 at one point, was in the top seed, and the AFC big picture is not unwinnable for this team. They were down 10-7 against the best team in football 3 weeks ago. Should have probably been up 19-10. You know, so let's not forget that this team's goal is still a Super Bowl.
Yep.
If you think, as Doug, that you can get Christian, Zay, and Trevor on the same page this week and get hot going in, that plays into the decision a little bit as well. So, I don't know.
You know,
how about that? For good TV, huh?
It is good TV. I think maybe the question actually is, now that we know that Christian Kirk is going to practice this week, is who has a bigger impact, right? And that's a hard one to say because Christian, clearly his absence has created issues in the offense. But Zay's that guy that the quarterback trusts so intently and has made big plays at key times. So I don't know that one either.
Yeah, I'll go Christian all the way on that one. And I love Zay as a player. He matters a great deal, but that innate trust that he has with Christian Kirk, to Trevor Lawrence, if you put him on the lie detector test and asked who his go-to guy is, if he didn't say Christian, he'd have a tough time passing.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, I was just hoping for one. If you guys think both of them are coming back, this is going to be great.
You got to get that sense.
Well, and remember, not to keep going on and on, Doug's talked so much in the last few weeks about the need to get guys going. When he talked about Tyson Campbell, Andre Cisco a little bit, they would love, the more I think about it, to get those three going and get some momentum going into the postseason. If your goal is to be in Las Vegas, getting those guys on the same page could matter a great deal this week.
Yep.
Sure could. Stay with us here on Jags A.M. We'll preview what we've got going on the rest of the week, the final week of the regular season.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Is your phone plan messing with your savings plan? Don't get stuck paying for things you don't want. With Verizon, you only pay for what you need. And for a limited time, when you bring your own phones to a Verizon store, you'll get an amazing price on your plan. Plus, you'll save on things you actually love, like the Netflix and Max with Ads bundle. And it's on our award-winning 5G network. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today for an incredible deal. A better plan to save is Verizon. Additional terms and conditions apply.
Have you noticed? It's raining a lot in our area lately. That means you can give your sprinklers a break and save some money in the process. Lawns only need water up to twice a week, and that can come from rain. So before you run your sprinklers, remember to watch the weather and wait to water. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, check out zipchair.com to browse all customizable options. ZipChair is furniture for fans. We also want to take a moment to honor our Florida Lottery High School Scholar Athlete of the Month, Ashley Purdy. Ashley has proven academic excellence, dedication to the community, and demonstrated leadership on and off the field. The Bright Future Scholarship Program is primarily funded by the Florida Lottery, and it assists students in pursuing post-secondary educational and career goals.
A lot of work was put in. There were people out there calling me a bust, and had all the words in the world for me and my career, and just a lot of credit to God and His will for me, the resiliency that I showed in my work and in my craft, and the people around me that helped pick me up every single day, helped me get better. My teammates, my coaches, my trainers, my family, my fiance. The list goes on. It means the world to me. I do not take it lightly, and honestly, I feel like I'm gonna be here for a while.
A lot of personal milestones in this game. Obviously, Josh breaking the single-season sack record for the franchise, and Evan Ingram going over 100 receptions, only the 8th tight end to ever do that. The Evan Ingram redemption arc is a great one. I really enjoy it. I'm so happy for him. He deserves it. And obviously Josh deserves it as well. Loved his Calais Campbell celebration. That was wonderful on his sack. And then Trayvon got his first 2-sack game, right? Is that
first
true as well?
multi-sack game.
So,
and I believe that those two lead the NFL as a tandem, right, with 25.5 sacks. And, we've been saying it, and people have been going, oh, you're crazy. But Trayvon's been coming for weeks. He's been coming. He's a really good football player, and all of a sudden, he's starting to figure out how to finish on some of these sacks. So he is 1/2 sack behind the great Aiden Hutchinson, right, who the Jaguars didn't take. But they've got a guy that they're thrilled. Peter King wrote in his his Monday morning quarterback column, whatever he calls it now, Monday morning football in America column, he wrote that the Lions had to be deliriously happy that the Jaguars took Trayvon Walker. The Jaguars are pretty happy with Trayvon Walker.
He's been good all year. He's got 9 sacks, and now that he has stats, people realize he's good.
Yep.
Stats
I guess that's what it takes. The eye test doesn't do enough.
Apparently. Well, we'll take it. Got them a win, certainly, against the Panthers, and we're hoping for the same thing in the final week of the season against the Titans. We'll preview that matchup for you fully tomorrow on Jags A.M., and we'll see you then.